Hey team, another political video. Just looking at the political situation, listening to political commentary. It's a lot of people are really fired up, really angry, really upset because Trump is pulling out the fascist playbook. He's undermining the government that's in place, the traditional government, and then he's bringing in uh, other alternative solutions, and he is playing up military. So that is fascist. It goes along with what he said about the U.S. not having credibility internationally. With Biden, he said that we looked weak, and so he is definitely playing up our power or the power of the government, but not necessarily any power that we as citizens have, which is a concern because we want to make sure that everything is representative. And I feel like he is playing the game, playing the politics game, all of the loopholes and all of these questionable powers that he is giving himself with his managerial role and his presidential orders. So it's an interesting political climate. So just wanting to check in also because it's very hard to condemn. Obviously, I believe that he is using and manipulating fake news to scare people into being good human beings, which is not something that I agree with per se. Having to live in fear is not something that anybody wants. But and I believe that perhaps he was kind of foretelling that in his first presidency with the sheer amount of fake news, just making sure that stays with you, it sticks with you. And so now I feel like he is taking that after we have all seen the force of it. Obviously, if you pay attention to any news whatsoever, it's a lot of gossip, it's a lot of unfair things, and people argue about them till can come. They can come up with a bunch of evidence to support whatever and whatever their platform is, but it's very difficult to engage in this as a political conversation just because like how much of it is actually strategy that he's keeping hush hush so that way the strategy works, how much is he trying to protect us from like global players that might be malicious, or how much is actually for our benefit versus actively going against our humanistic approaches to take care of each other, to take care of our minorities and those in need. And I don't agree with some of his politics there, getting out of the environmental environmental argument, and also getting rid of equality initiatives in organizations that are meant to boost up minorities in their roles. I don't agree with those things, and people can definitely combat that in making this video, but the point is how much do we not know, and how much of that is for our safety, and how much of that are we expected to live with, how much of it is moral, if any of it is moral, because the more people they tell, obviously the less it's going to work and the less effective those things are going to be, and we need that power. But we also don't want to condemn people for things that we don't actually have evidence for. And I feel like a lot of people are very, very angry and will, are adding to the noise with argumentative statements and things that we can't actually back up with facts, and especially since Trump does have control over the social media platforms. So it's difficult because obviously it's a matter of national security, and how much influence do the algorithms have in that, how much influence does social media have in that. Just putting these conversation starters into our news feeds, how much of that it has power, and what does that do to engage us, to kind of shut us down. But it's a lot of power, it's a lot of responsibility, and it's I feel like a lot of people are trying to make their stances known, make their opinions known, and to let people know this is pure fascist. This is 100% the fascist playbook, dictatorship, kind of Nazi era vibes. It really is. And, that is something to be concerned about. But do we actually know what his intention is? Is he actually going to wield that? Is he going to become that? Or is it just a wake up call? Does he actually have our American values at heart? What is going on? And I think a lot of what he's been pushing for right now does follow our American values to a certain extent, except for a few basic things, like I mentioned, the ones that I have concerns about, but plus I'm sure there are others too, but it is a concerning situation. It's concerning that people aren't engaging in it, and I kind of pick and choose when I have time to engage. You can't 100% engage all the time, but just because of the nature of life, you always have other responsibilities. You have to take care of the people in your immediate surrounds, and of course you don't know what's going on. You don't know how much of it is real. It's not happening, and that's another thing you can say is naivete, thinking that these things aren't actually happening. But to what degree, and with our social media the way that it is, we just want to try and take care of each other. And I think maybe a lot of that should happen in person, one-on-one, face-to-face. That's and even that can be manipulated and manipulative. So just trying to do the best that you can and trying to start the conversation and get people thinking and get people engaging in the conversation and trying to fight for what's good. I think that's what is important. And so I am making this video because you can add to noise all you want, and we need that constructive the constructive thought processes, but we also need to be mindful and we need to be fair, and that can be considered a naivete, but you also can't build arguments based on fiction either. And so it comes down to faith, how much you have, and we just need to be able to activate and be conscientious if things are going poorly and if people are actually legitimately getting hurt. We need to do something. We need to say something, and we need to be that change. We need to make that change, and that can't come down to a dictator. That has to come down to you and me. So we need to engage in the conversation, which is why I'm making this video. So please let me know what you think. Let's do this. Save the planet. Okay.